Good day. As you know, I am Kaylin, and today we're going to be starting off the second part of report writing. So you'll remember in the previous one we configured a employee list report. We're going to add a lookup in now, and then also add a secondary loop that you guys can see that, and then depending on the time we'll just check if we can just edit another report just to show you how that happens. Okay, so in our configuration module, if you go to reports, edit reports, I'm going to I've set my sort order to modified so that I can just have my report right at the top there. So I'm going to choose the employee list report that we were doing last week and click on change. And yeah, we've got our report. So the next thing, like I said, that we're going to do is add a lookup. We're going to add a lookup on department that we can just print the employees department next door here. So let's copy this and paste this, and we're going to just change this to department. Just easier than having to go and set all the font colors and types, etc. again. And let's set this width a little bit. Let's make that 100. There you go. Okay, so I've got the department, and now what I'm going to do is we need to create a lookup first. So I'm going to highlight the primary file. So whichever file you want to create that lookup underneath, you can highlight that. It's not always a train smash. If it is in the wrong position, you can obviously just move it up and down with the arrows there. Okay, so I'm going to highlight that. I'm going to click on the lookup button, and we're going to move this one right, because remember it needs to be in the correct tree structure. Currently now it's not going underneath our primary file, which is employee. So let's move that one down, and we obviously need to do the lookup before we actually print the detail and the information there. So we're going to select our lookup, and let's go and set the properties for this lookup. Our parent source is obviously not going to be the report header, so we're going to just double click this and change this. It's going to be the employee file, because obviously we want to look at the department code that is in the employee file, and then obviously link the actual department there. Now you ask me, why don't I just use the EMP department field? Let's just quickly select that. Let's go to fields. We've got the EMP, and if we go down, EMP department, we've got that there. Why do we not just use that? If you look in the employee file and you scan this file, you will see that that only shows the department code. It does not show the description. Obviously, knowing that this employee is in department 1 or department 3 does not mean much to us, so we want the actual description. So in that case, we're going to create a lookup to actually check according to whatever code is specified in the employee file, go and look up what the description is of that department. So let's go back to the properties here. We've got our parent source as employee, because it needs to link to that, and our source file is going to obviously be department. Where are we now? Department, there you go. And let's click on OK just to make sure it saves all those information that's needed there, and change. Okay, so we've got lookup department. If we go look under fields, we'll see that there is now extra fields available. Here we've got the department, which is the same as the code. It says there the department code, and then we've got the department description. Obviously that's going to be the one that we're going to want, so let's drag and drop that in there, and we can just go and change that text styles and colors and all that there. Let's call this Arial. I'm going to just make this Arial this time. Let's leave that as black. There you go. And obviously you can check your alignment if you're happy with all that where it's positioned. Let's make this 160 and however that may be. Okay, so you can mess around with that then. Let's go and see how this report looks. There's one thing that I want to actually also just correct when we come back here. Let's just go and select all that. Is you'll see that we're printing obviously that report, and we've got today's date that we're printing that report. Last week you'll see that I actually added in that field, and if you had to go and reference the the Docs website, you'll see that I actually made a mistake. Although it's still working, I'm just going to show you the correct way of doing that, so I'm going to correct myself on that. Obviously I haven't chosen the same font in terms of bold, or I think this was Arial rounded if I remember correctly, but there it's printing all the departments there. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is just print the clockings for the employees, where we're going to create a secondary loop through for those clockings. So let me just correct this thing here. So like I said to you, if you actually reference back to the Docs website, you'll see that this is actually supposed to be like that. So although it's still working, so in other words, even if you had to do it, as long as it's printing the correct date and the correct information, that's fine. But just that you know, that's actually the correct way of doing that then. Okay, so let's create the secondary loop through. We're going to highlight our primary file again, and this time we're going to choose a secondary loop, and we're going to move this to the right again, and I'm just going to move it underneath my lookup. Let's again go and select the parent source. It's going to be the employee file again, because we're obviously referencing back to the employee file to check the clockings for that specific employee. And the source name of the file is now going to be the clockings file. So we're going to select that then. We're obviously going to have to change things slightly around here, because if we're going to go and add either just the clockings at the end here, it's going to print, if this guy's got 5 clockings, it's going to print this employee's name and employee number and department 5 times. So we're going to change this, shift things around a bit. I'm just going to, for simplicity, we're going to do that and drag those fields in there. Let's see, put the name there. Obviously you can go and check your alignment, that all that is correct, and let's put the department here. So now it's going to print, actually this is not going to be correct, because it's going to print the employee number. What I want to actually do is print a separate detail. Don't do what I do. What's going to happen is if I move that all into the header, it's obviously going to print the employee name and employee number and description only once at the top of the page, which is not what we want. So we want our report header, which says what report it is and when we're printing it, and then we want to print the employee name, number, name, and all that information there. Once we actually start printing the information, but also added, we want this to only print once. So what we're going to do is we're going to create another print detail for the clockings. But now also added to this, what we want to happen is if there is an employee that does not have any clockings, we don't want that name to print, because we don't really care about that guy that's not clocking. We only want the guys that have clockings there. So what we're going to do to allow that to happen is actually take this print detail and we're going to move it into the clocking. So what's going to happen now is once it's gone to your employee, it obviously runs through the clockings of that specific employee, and then once there is actually, it's found clockings, it'll only come through to your print detail. Okay, so there's something else that we need to just set on the loop through clockings here, is obviously you've got to specify the dates that this needs to run through, to look for those clockings. If you're going to leave that blank, like in this case, what's going to happen is it's going to just run through the entire database of clockings, and obviously that report is either just eventually going to time out, not print at all, or it's going to just take seriously long. So we need to go and specify that. Now we've already got a local field, sorry, we haven't created that. We can create a from and a to date, which we can actually specify between which dates do we want to print this report. You can also use create a loop through dates first and then create a loop through clockings. Either way, you're going to need a date that the user can obviously select to print this report for. So let's just go and configure those from and to dates first. So we need to create local fields for that. We're going to click on add, and we're going to call this from date. Oops, there you go. And we need to go and select the picture. Obviously put that in the correct format in terms of how you want to view that date. I'm going to make it day, month, and year. And then you need to go and select this as a user type, because remember the user needs to be able to select this date. And we're going to put in a value. If you want to, you can go and put in a default value of today, or you can leave that blank if you prefer to. And then the last thing that you need to do is put in something to tell the user what is, what needs to happen here, type of thing. So that's the prompt section here. So if we double click on that, we can actually go and say this is the from date. Now what you need to also remember is this needs to be in single quotation marks. So anything that you wanted to display, is going to be in single quotation marks. So let's make that the from date, and we're going to do the same thing with the to date as well. Now preferably also when you're creating local fields, in the name section, try not to make any spaces. You'll see always the local fields that are created have, I put a capital D, for the to date, but it's never got a space in between. Okay, so rather try and keep that as one. So let's go and change this to D. I know that I want this the same as the other one, which is D5. And this needs to be user selectable again. Again, you can put in a value if you want to. And this is going to be single quotation to date. So this will be what the user will see when they print that. Okay, so just coming back to the loop through clockings again, we need to go and specify, the dates that it needs to run through. So let's double click on that, select that as our from date, and the same with our to date will be that one if I double click then. You can also add a filter. Now remember I said you don't want this to print if there isn't any clockings for argument's sake. So you can go and put in a filter for your let's say you can use the close time for argument's sake if you want to not have this print. It's got to be more than 0. In other words, it's got to run through there if there actually is a clocking there. I'm not going to worry too much about that filter now. What I do want to do though is put another filter on this print detail. Actually, let me leave that off and let's go and see what's happening here so you guys can see how that looks. Okay, so we've got the employee number, name, we've got the department. I need to go and add in another print detail to actually print those clockings. Now I want these clockings to obviously print underneath every time. So let's go and add in a print detail. And we'll call this the clockings. You can obviously go and name this however you want to. Clockings, there you go. And let us go and put in the close date. I want the date field, so I'm going to drag and drop that in there. Now obviously you can go and put some extra headings in here if you want to, or make that look nice. And the other one that I want is let's put in the close direction, and let's put in the clocking time we said, hey? Clocking, let's see, clock time. Okay, so let's just go and space that again. You can obviously go and make this as big as you want. So let's go and set this just to 20 for argument's sake. Let's click on OK, and let's go and see how things look then. So I'm going to show you another thing that we're going to need to add now, because we've obviously gone and added the employee name underneath our loop through clockings. You're going to see it's obviously going to print that name multiple times, so we need to go and stop that from happening as well. You'll also see that there's absolutely no default date that's put in here. It's always preferential to go and put in at least today's date if you want to, so that it can actually select something. If you know that this report needs to print every week, you can go and say this is today's date and that is today minus 7 days, so it automatically defaults off to a week, or from yesterday, the day from yesterday till 7 days back. Obviously you can print this report then as well. Okay, so we've got all non-terminated. We obviously need to go and select our dates. So if I remember correctly, we've got some information in June, and let's select all non-terminated is fine to screen, and let's go and see what this looks. Okay, so this report's looking slightly messy at the moment now. You'll see that it prints the employee name and surname and department for every clocking that we've got there. So we need to go neaten this up slightly. So let's close this report, go and change this information again, and let's check. What we're going to do first is to stop that employee name and number and that from printing multiple times. Now if you look on the Docs website again, you will see that there is a function that allows you to stop this from happening then. Let me just check. I think it is under the special report fields. Nope. Clearly I don't know our Docs website too well. Yeah, let's just see I was on the correct page, and let's go move down to header. There you go. That's the one that we're looking for. So it says here, same as the change function, okay, it'll return a 1 if the first time this variable is called. So what you can do is, you'll see that there's an X field here. So you can say, you want to check the header. In this case, we're going to look at the employee number. So the first time that it runs through the employee number, it's going to set that as 1, because it's obviously, called that variable and it's run through there. And then the next time it obviously goes through again, it'll keep running through that cycle then, to check if it's printed that employee or not. So what we can actually do is set this and allow this then to stop it from printing multiple times. Okay, so what we can do is we want to filter this one, the employee details. We're going to move down to our properties and for the print detail, and we're actually going to put in a condition for this print detail. So let's double click on that. You can also see then under your function section here, you will also then see the header one there that you can also just double click if you want to. So like I said, we need to specify something in those brackets in order for it to look, what does it need to reference to check if this employee has been printed or not. We're going to use the employee number for that. You can obviously, that's probably the most safest. If you use employee name, for argument's sake, there might be somebody else that has actually, got the same name. So you don't actually want to do those funny things there. So let's use employee number. And we're going to say this must equal 1. Okay. So it only needs to, the first time it runs through, it's going to print. Obviously the next time it's, it's going to just check that there. Okay, so let's click on OK. And let's go and see what we've sorted out here. The dates are still fine. You'll see that that has obviously only printed the employee name once. And now we've got all the clocking details in, below that then. Okay, so you'll see then obviously, my department is getting cut off. So you can, go and move that information up. You can obviously go and put in the header for date and the time and the direction as well, just to make those reports look slightly nicer. So let's do a few of those then. Obviously you'll see now if I'm going to move this employee name up, it's going to overlap a bit. So because I know the employee number is not a very big field, I'm going to actually set this down to about 70. So even though it's still cutting off there, it will actually print that field then. Okay, so I'm going to move this up here, put the employee name, and let's move this department right up to here. And there you go. And then what I also want to do is just add in a the headings for these clockings here. So just to make it easier on the eye, let's set these all to 98. Move these up. Oops. There you go. And our alignment, we're going to make that 10. This one needs to be 10. I'm sorry, just bear with me in terms of setting these things, because it does tend to make me slightly crazy. I need these things in order there. Okay, so we need to enlarge this field slightly, because obviously we want to go and add in another line here to add the date, the time, and the direction as well there for that. So let's enlarge this slightly here. We've got our, let's make sure we've got that selected there. We want to change the height of this field. We made it 15. Let's make it 35. That is just slightly, or we can actually make that 30. There you go. Again, just click on OK and change their details again in order to correct that layout. There you go, and I'm going to copy this field and just paste this. Okay, and put that underneath there. And let's go and change this to date. And then we need the time. I've now actually gone and set the height of that that field, so I'm going to just change this back to 13. There you go. And let's change this to the time. And then the last one is going to be the direction. Okay, and I'm actually going to move that up as well, just to align those to 95 to 95. This is 153, 153, and make that one 153. And this obviously needs to be the direction. There you go, and let's just move this one up and make this slightly bigger. Okay, so there we've got those. Let's just see, I think this is 1024, 1019, sorry. Set those, 1019. Okay, so there we've got our date, our time, we've got our glow direction. You can obviously go and set this slightly smaller if you want as well, not have such massive gaps. Let's make this 15 and hope I've spaced that correctly. Okay, so let's just go and see. Hopefully things are slightly neater. And then that's obviously how you would just go and edit your report. You can put a line underneath that again, make sure that all your text is the same, and you perhaps don't want this bold, so you can go and change that and just edit that however you want to. You can obviously create it in Excel as well. If you're doing, then you would simply make a text report where you can put either make it comma delimited or tab delimited, where you can put in those fields there. So it's a case of basically messing around with the reports a bit, getting to know what information is in which files, and if there's multiple information that I know, okay, fine, there's going to be 3 files that I'm going to need to get all the information from. I check then which file is the one that's got the most information, and that is generally either going to be my primary file, or then if I want it sorted by the employee number, or for argument's sake, obviously that's going to be the primary file. Probably about 80% of the time the employee file is your primary file, and then obviously you'll create secondary loops from there to get the information that you need then. So just to show you, I'm going to edit a text report, and just going to simply add in the day of the week. So that would be like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday or so. We're going to add that in then. So here's a text report that I have prior edited, just to check that everything's in order. And you'll obviously see there's a ton of things that's already been set up in this report, a lot of secondary loops that's going through. What we're going to do is, when we're actually printing this information here, we want to go and print the day of the week instead of the rate. So I don't worry too much about this rate, so I'm going to actually just replace that. But now, if you go and look at the functions again, you've got a function that's called day of the week. This just returns again the number. So same as the description, the department code, where you got either 1, 3 or so. This is the same thing. You're getting the day of the week. So either it's going to be day 1 or day 2. So that doesn't really mean too much to you. So we're going to have to just change that around a little bit in order to give us our Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, the little short descriptions there. So we're going to create a local field again, because there isn't a field like that. So we're going to go and create one, and just again make sure I would automatically want to go and call this field day, or day of the week again if I would, but just make sure that there isn't actually a field in your global fields that's already either it's already configured there and you can simply just use that one, or you got to just make sure that you're not creating the same local field then. Okay, so I'm going to use quite a long description, but just to make sure I know that that one is definitely not there, we need to go and set our picture. Now this is a string value because it's going to print text, but what I want to do is limit this to only 3 characters, because what I want to do is it must print, like Monday must be MON, so that's 3 characters that I'm going to limit that to. So we're going to select that. We obviously don't need to clip it, we've got 3 characters, it's going to be computed, and then we need to go and put in the value. So now if we just pop on over to our docs website again and we take a look at this, there is a function that's called weekday name, which is the day of the week here. So here you can see it says returns the week day name, example Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Now we've obviously limited to 3 characters, so those won't print there. And it says you can use day of the week as that. So I'm going to just copy that because it's a lot easier to just copy and paste. And we're going to double click and we're going to put that in. Okay, so there we've got our function. We're going to click on OK. Now obviously we need to still go and print that new field that we've created, so I'm just going to simply highlight that, put in day of week, and you can obviously go and change your heading if you got anything in there. And now just remember, obviously with your text reports again, I can't go and drag and drop fields, so it's not a case of me quickly taking this thing and just trying to drop it in there. You'll see it won't work that. So unfortunately you have to go and type that in, and then just remember that your spacing goes out then. If you're creating, like here was only 2 characters earlier on and you now got 3 characters, this alignment is going to be out, so you need to just confirm that those things are correct. But let's go and print this report and see how this looks. And we're going to print this for the 1st of June till the 15th of June. And I'm simply going to select one employee just to make it slightly easier and quicker. Let's click on Start. And then you'll see then our report. We've got our Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday all printed in that report. So that's how you also just go and edit a other report. Now, you don't always have to create a brand new report from scratch. Oftentimes, I take a report that's already got most of the information in that I need, and then I just simply go and edit that, because it's more than likely got all the structures in place that you need then already, and perhaps you're going to add a extra lookup here or there, or then another secondary loop through or whatever. Like let's say you want to print a clockings report that now has the device name from where where this employee clocked. I would simply go and take the clockings clockings report, and I would simply go and edit that, and then obviously just create either my lookup or my loop through on the hardware file, and then obviously go and get that information which is linked to that clocking specifically then as to where that is printed there. So don't always try and start something from scratch. Sometimes it can be a case of you're just missing something and that report is just not working and you can't seem to see what is actually going wrong. So why not take another report and just edit that rather, if it's already there, then trying to recreate something there. A lot of times I also do a report and I don't always get it right the first time. You need to just go through your tree structure, make sure that that is correct. That if you if we go and change again our employee list report, and I'm trying to print clockings, but this print detail is out here, make sure that that tree structure is correct there, because obviously if you're looping, you've gone through your clockings, but now you're only printing this detail once you're out of that loop through. It's not actually going to print the all the information there. Or sometimes what happened is it'll loop through all the clockings, and whatever the last value is, it'll print that, because that's obviously when it comes out, it's now got the command to print, so it'll only print that last value that it's got. The same with you can do calculations as well. If you want to go and calculate how many clockings there is. Now sometimes there is functions for that which you can use, so just make sure that there isn't, but other times you can go and add in a calculation there, and you can put in certain statements and set certain fields, and then you want to, only once it's looped through all the clockings do you want to print that value. So then you would print this print detail outside that loop through. Or if you want to print in the clocking number with each one, obviously making sure that this print detail is then under that loop through clockings. So just that's probably the most important thing, is to make sure that your tree structure is correct, and otherwise it's a case of getting to know those files, opening them up in CScan perhaps, and just checking what is in there and if that's the information that you need. So that's report writing. It's a little bit of messing around until you get comfortable with things. I still, after years, I still have to sometimes go and scrounge around in the files to see what's going on there, and sometimes I get it right, sometimes I don't. Sometimes it's simply just not possible to do that report then. But basic report writing is quite easy, and you can obviously evolve from there. I hope that you've learned something and that you will join me on our next video then. Thank you. Bye bye.